Russia has taken a major legal step against Euroclear, the powerful Belgian financial clearing institution that has been holding a massive amount of Russia's sovereign funds under Western sanctions. This move marks one of the most serious escalations yet in the long-running dispute over billions in frozen Russian assets. According to the latest announcements, the Bank of Russia has filed an official lawsuit in the Moscow City Arbitration Court. The central bank says it is seeking compensation for losses linked to what it describes as its inability to access, control, or manage its own money and securities that have been locked inside the Euroclear system since sanctions took effect. Although the exact compensation figure has not been revealed, the case centers around more than $200 billion worth of Russian state-owned assets that Euroclear currently holds. These funds have been immobilized under European Union restrictions introduced after the escalation of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia's Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak emphasized that Moscow views the restrictions as unlawful. Speaking to RT, he stressed that Russian authorities are working on all fronts to defend their assets, adding firmly that any form of illegal seizure is completely unacceptable. This legal battle comes at the same time the European Union is preparing to finalize a highly controversial plan. The EU is discussing using Russia's frozen assets as collateral for a large reconstruction loan for Ukraine, which would help cover Kyiv's long-term financial shortages. The EU says the money wouldn't be taken directly, but would instead act as a financial guarantee. Russia has rejected this explanation, insisting that the proposal is just another way of transferring its wealth to Ukraine under a different name. Euroclear's own leadership has been sounding alarms as well. The company's chief risk officer, Guillaume Elie, revealed that Euroclear still has about 16 billion euros in other client assets inside Russia. Those funds, he warned, could become vulnerable to any Russian countermeasures. If that happens, Euroclear might be held responsible for any resulting losses. Interestingly, opposition to the EU's proposal is not coming only from Moscow. Parts of the Belgian government, along with Euroclear executives, are also raising concerns. Belgian Prime Minister Bart de Wever argued that forcibly leveraging or seizing another country's sovereign assets could spark years of legal disputes. He warned that such a move would be unprecedented in modern financial history and could damage Europe's credibility. Euroclear's CEO, Valérie Urbain, went even further. In an interview with Belgian broadcaster VRT, she warned that the EU's idea could push the company close to bankruptcy. She stressed that if confidence in Euroclear collapses, it could make Europe far less appealing to global investors who rely on stability and legal certainty. At the same time, EU officials are reportedly preparing to change the mechanism that governs how the frozen Russian assets are held. Right now, the sanctions must be renewed every 6 months, and any EU member state can block the renewal. According to reports, the EU is exploring a shift to a much more permanent system. This would make the immobilization of Russian assets long-term or even indefinite, while removing the ability of a single EU government to veto the measure. If implemented, this would represent one of the most dramatic sanctions-related changes in EU history. Here is what is happening in simple terms. Russia is suing Euroclear for blocking its access to massive state-owned funds. Euroclear holds more than 185 billion euros in Russian sovereign assets, frozen by EU sanctions. The EU wants to use these immobilized funds as backing for a large loan to Ukraine. Russia calls this theft, while Belgium and Euroclear warn it could trigger legal chaos. The EU is considering permanent measures that would make the sanctions nearly impossible to undo. The dispute now mixes politics, finance, law, and international relations, and the stakes are enormous for all sides. This confrontation is expected to grow even more intense in the coming months, as both Russia and the EU prepare for long legal and political fights that could reshape global financial systems for years to come. Do you think using another country's frozen assets for political loans is justified, or does it open dangerous doors for the future? Share your thoughts below. This story affects global finance, geopolitics, and international law all at once. What part of this report shocked you the most? Let's discuss. If you found this extended breakdown helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss any deep dive reports like this. Your support keeps these detailed analyses coming.